Welcome once again to the Ahern video podcast. Today I want to talk a little bit about how to control fuel costs. Now, of course, we're very fortunate because, as we know, with the oil market continuing to tumble, it's had a direct impact on the cost of fuel. It's also had a direct impact on the fuel surcharge. So hopefully the tail has caught the dog and we're still able to experience above average profits. But what happens, particularly when we're involved in a process, when things are going well, companies don't focus on the fundamentals of the business. Everybody thinks that they can control fuel costs by continuing to beat up the vendors to get the lowest possible discount. Many people believe that if I keep upgrading my equipment, I'm going to get more MPG, miles per gallon, and therefore I'm controlling my fuel cost. Do you know that 60% of your fuel cost is wasted because of driver acceleration? We focus on idling. We focus on the basic fundamentals, but we don't think outside the box. Do aerodynamic trucks save fuel? Yes. Does throttling down to 62 to 65 save fuel? Yes. Do we do it? No. Why? Because a picture's worth 1,000 words, and we don't bother to draw the picture. Sometime when you have the opportunity, I want you to simply, if you're governing your trucks at 68, move them to 65, and look at the amount of fuel that you're going to save. Many people are going to APUs because they say that's going to save them money on throttling down, and it is, but I think an APU weighs X amount of pounds. Now there's a new product that's coming out on the market. Have any of you looked at it? It's supposed to be lighter, it's supposed to be more fuel efficient, and I believe it's less costly. The point I'm trying to make is that if you want to control fuel cost and you want to control company profitability and you want to make record profits, you got to understand that trucking is a penny's business. You have to look under every rock for every penny. You need to group your trucks. You need to group your drivers. You need to treat your truck as a profit center. You need to treat your drivers as a profit center. If one driver is in the same type of vehicle and that driver, he or she, gets 8 miles a gallon and another one gets 6 miles a gallon, the one that gets 8 miles a gallon should get an additional bonus. Think about it. That person is conserving your financial resources. Why should that person be paid the same amount of money as the person that doesn't care about your financial resources? Now, my critics will say, well, that's great, we don't have any drivers, so now you're going to implement this program and we're going to lose more drivers. Well, there's another way to look at it. If you have a bonus system that's tied directly into reducing your fuel cost and your fuel expenditures, and those drivers participate in it, those drivers will make more money than other drivers, so they'll stay. The problem in our industry is we take everything that's fairly simple and we make it so complex. Here's the reality of the situation. FMCSA, hours of service have killed us. Wait time is now drive time. So effectively, no matter what the rate increase you give the driver, that driver's not making as much money as he or she could have made before. Secondly, when a driver gets ready to deliver a load, if that shipper has that driver wait for an hour, that shipper is costing you fuel. That's also costing you the possibility of that driver leaving, because that driver's wait time is drive time, which means it impacts their earnings. We're in a very dynamic business now, and we're not taking advantage of it. I wrote an article that's going to be published shortly, and I'm sure I'm going to hear a lot of positive. I'm sure I'm going to hear a lot of negatives. I'm saying you need to temper political action with practicality. The consumers are going to start seeing what's happened to the freight rates. Then all of a sudden they're not going to like it. And our economy is very fragile. I don't care that they statistically say we're at 5.5%. We're a very fragile economy. Is the driver shortage going to get worse? Yes. So as the driver shortage gets worse, your costs automatically go up because you have to pay more to get the driver and recruiting costs. You have to pay more to keep the driver. That means your shippers are going to pay more. And at some point in time, there's going to be a settling point. So if you want to control your costs, the first thing you need to do is start with the driver. You need to look at the idle time, you need to look at the acceleration, you look at where you're governing the trucks, you need to look at your fuel purchases, you need to look at your out-of-route miles, you need to look at the most cost-effective route to get the truck from point A to point B. I know many of you do, but ultimately at the end of the day, that driver, he or she is directly responsible for saving you money or wasting your money. And the people that are directly responsible for saving you money need to be compensated over and above whatever they get paid a mile. In the next couple of weeks, if you read the Ahern advisory, I'm going to actually go through the costing analysis on the fuel. Until next time, thank you for attending the podcast.